discussion. Mark, would you like to go over this briefly?
Well, I'll try to do it briefly. Thank you, Mayor. So maybe just a little bit of history for those unfamiliar with the Rural Dividend Program. So in 2018, the Village of Tahsis received $200,000 under the now defunct Rural Dividend Program. And the $200,000 was to support the Village of Tahsis in concert with the Village of Zabelis, the Hadasat-Chinnikit First Nation, and the North Muchlit First Nation, on the construction of the multi-use trail between Tahsis and Zabelis. The fund, that $200,000 grant came with a caveat, which was that the money could only be spent if the trail, the multi-use trail, was approved by Recreation Sites and Trails, British Columbia. And in 2021, Rec Sites and Trails, BC, did not approve the multi-use trail. And so since that time, so March of 2021, the Ministry of Forests, where that grant originated from, came to the Village of Tahsis and said, well, you've got this $200,000, you can use it for any other economic development program or project. And Council spent some time looking at other sort of trail or outdoor recreation options, also trying to engage with the partners on those kinds of projects. Ultimately, it was Village of Tahsis had sort of sole authority to spend the dollars, and then in 2023, with the approval of the ministry, Council engaged a consultant who had also prepared the economic development plan for the Muchlit First Nation to develop a strategic economic development plan using that portion of the $200,000 rural dividend fund. So we're now 5-6 years into that fund, and the ministry is getting a concern that the dollars be spent. The village has used the money for the strategic economic development plan, and then more recently the action plan. And so in a meeting with ministry staff held last month, the ministry asked the village to commit to a project as soon as possible, and no later by the end of March 31st, which is the end of the province's fiscal year, to utilize the remaining rural dividend program funds of approximately $120,000. In that meeting, village staff outlined 4 potential projects, which ministry staff stated would all fall within sort of the broad parameters of the rural dividend program as it was, and so would likely be approved, although there would be some caveats. So the report has 4 options. They all come with pros and cons. One, as has already been mentioned during public input, is to retain a professional forester to research and prepare a management plan for a community forest agreement with the Muchlit First Nation and the Ministry of Forests. The pros are moves the community forest initiative forward, provides council with more information which could be used to build a case for engaging with the Ministry of Forests and the Muchlit First Nation. It's aligned with the strategic economic development plan, and may facilitate access to other grants or funding sources. The cons are that, as Ministry of Forests have advised council recently, an area-based community forest in the Tahsis watershed is not guaranteed. Secondly, the Muchlit Council of Chiefs require certainty on the reconciliation funding from Treasury Board, Provincial Treasury Board at a minimum before considering partnering with the Village of Tahsis on a community forest. And it would not have any immediate impact on improving the Tahsis economy. The second option would be to improve, rehabilitate, promote, and possibly expand the municipal trail network within the village boundary, something that council has spoken about in previous strategic priority setting exercises. Pros are the local trails are a natural amenity, which the village can use in tourist promotion. Trails are free, they're accessible, they're an alternative outdoor recreation activity for summer visitors, not just summer, I suppose, but year-round, and could evolve into a more sustained outdoor recreation program and policy. Cons are, this is not included in the strategic economic development plan. That's the nexus between improving local trails and tourism is unproven, and it may be possible to carry out trail rehabilitation in-house. Option 3 is to plan, develop, and construct a trail system in either the Kelvy Creek Community Watershed and the Moachit-Muchlet Salmon Park, or the Tahsis watershed, subject to Recreation Sites and Trails BC approvals and support from the Moachit-Muchlet Council of Chiefs. Pros are expanding a trail system into the relatively pristine wilderness which surrounds Tahsis, capitalizes on this natural amenity to promote tourism beyond sport fishing and other marine-based activities. Drawing more visitors to Tahsis is a necessary condition to increasing the Tahsis population and subsequently business investment. Trails are an attractive option for shoulder season visitors. Cons are this option would require approvals and support from other parties, particularly Rec Sites and Trails BC and the Moachit-Muchlet First Nation, as the village has no jurisdiction outside of the municipal boundaries. Western has 4 harvesting plans for the Tahsis River watershed, which may impact trail development. This trail would compete with the Nootka Trail and the Tattoo Trail, both of which are coastal trails, which may be considered more attractive or have higher value than inland trails. And then forthcoming amendments to the Land Act requiring First Nation co-management of Crown land might complicate executing these trail projects. This one is not listed in the Strategic Economic Development Plan. And the last option is to create a full-time economic development officer position for a 2-year period. This is aligned with the Strategic Economic Development Plan draft action plan, adds capacity to the village to pursue and execute economic development actions, including, for example, a community forest, and to pursue grant opportunities, demonstrates support for local and regional business community, will amplify Tahsis tourism promotion through our destination marketing partner, and social media. Will provide staff support to our council standing committee on business engagement, as recommended in the Strategic Economic Development Plan Action Plan, and has cost and budget certainty. Cons may not directly translate into business expansion or new businesses, and may not be well received by some local businesses. So just in terms of the financial implications, the Island Coastal Economic Trust has funded the Rural Business Advisor position for a 1-year term, which ends in June of this year. In October of last year, the village applied to the Rural Economic Diversification and Infrastructure Program for a $100,000 grant to find a full-time economic development coordinator position. If the village's REDIF application is approved, the ministry has confirmed that the Rural Dividend Grant Program